You are welcome in this lesson. I'm teacher Katimbo Richard, teaching mathematics, P4. And now we started term 2 booklet. Ensure you get yourself a copy and then follow the proceedings. That is our YouTube uploaded videos. And now today we are continuing with fractions we started with in the lesson before this one, that is the previous lesson. Now today we are starting with the changing improper fractions to mixed fractions, not forgetting to mention that this work will be found on page 6 up to 11 of that second term workbook, and which when bought you will be able to follow and answer all the activities in the said pages of 6 up to 11. So, as I said, we are starting with the changing improper fractions to mixed fractions. And now, the examples are here. So, the instructions say change the following improper fractions to mixed fractions. Remember in the previous lesson, we said an improper fraction is that one has got a numerator greater than the denominator, like this 18 out of 5 is, like 22 out of 3 is, and 11 out of 8. So change number 1, 18 out of 5 to a mixed fraction. A mixed fraction is that bears the whole number and a proper fraction, like 2 1/2, like 1 1/3, and so on. Now, we said this out of means divided by. So 18 out of 5 means 18 divided by 5. 18 out of 5 means 18 divided by 5. So you are going to divide 18 by 5. Now, here's the question of tables. That's table 5. Which multiple of 5 is close to 18, if not equal to 18? So if you don't know, then that's when you resort to drawing 5 different heads. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Assuming that circle means a head. So 18 divided by 5 people. So now that I've got 5 people, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then we divide 18. So now go to these singles. 18 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So that is the 18 divided by 5 people. So let's see what each gets. You will find out that these are not evenly distributed. So these are remainders. They are taken like remainders. So remainder 3. So each of them gets 1, 2, 3. Remainder 3. That's why I've got 3 remainder 3. 3 remainder 3. Each of them gets 3 and 3 remain undivided. So these 3 here you see, each one makes a whole number. Each gets 3 wholes and 3 remains to be divided by 5. So that's why I've got 3 whole numbers, 3 out of 5. 3 whole numbers, 3 out of 5. So that is the mixed fraction that has come out of the improper fraction 18 out of 5. So please, that's the way we work out. All in all, know that this out of means divided by. So 18 out of 5 means 18 divided by 5. So I've got 5 people to whom we are dividing 18. So each one gets 3 and 3 remains. And get 3 whole number and 3 out of 5 as the answer for that particular number. Then, example number 2. Says change 22 out of 3 to a mixed fraction. Change 22 out of 3 to a mixed fraction. Like I said before, 22 out of 3 means 22 divided by 3. So I've got 3 people who we are giving 22. So we get our 3 people if we don't know table 3. So we actually do give them, so divide the 22. So we count up 22. This thing goes up 22. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Go. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, then 22, 22. So this one remains undivided. Then we count the wholes that have come out. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So each of them gets 7 and 1 remains. So 22, 22 here, like you see it, divided by 3. When you cancel by 3 once, by 3 gets 7 remainder 1. 7 remainder 1. Each one gets 7 and 1 remains undivided. So the 7 makes a whole number and the 1 makes a fraction out of this number down, the 3. So the answer is 71 numbers, 1 out of 3. 71 numbers, 1 out of 3. That is 7 and a third. 7 and a third. 7 and a third. So this is what's called a mixed fraction. Remember, mixed fraction is the one that's got a whole number and a proper fraction. So 7 and a third. So 22 out of 3 is equivalent to 7 and a half as a mixed fraction. That's the way we deal with that. Then example number 3 says change 11 out of 8 to mixed fraction. This is improper, the one with a whole number and another fraction. Now, say 11 out of 8 means 11 divided by 8. So I've got 8 people to whom we give the 11. So let the 8 names be drawn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm dividing 11 by those 8. So let us have those symbols up to 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So this line will not make it a side. So this makes the remainder. So you will see that everyone gets 1, remainder 3. So we divide and get the answer 8 by 8 once. Then 11 divided by 8 is 1, remainder 3. Like you see there. So the 1 makes a whole number and 3 becomes a fraction. That's one whole number 3 out of 8. So that is the mixed fraction that comes out of 11 out of 8, which is improper. So that's how we convert the improper fractions to mixed fractions. In the previous lesson, we had mixed fractions converted to improper. Now, improper to mixed back. So this is the way we divide and get the answer. Please do the first activity on that page, page 6. As you go along, you'll be able to change the improper fractions to mixed fractions if you have been following. Indeed, you have been. Thank you, but please continue watching as you learn this as well. You can as well first pause and answer that activity as we go to the next subheading or subtopic, finding equivalent fractions. Finding equivalent fractions. Remember, we said equivalent fractions are those fractions that will mean the same as original when reduced, like we're going to see. So we are here. Find the next 3 equivalent fractions for the following numbers. Number 1, a quarter. Find the next 3 equivalent fractions for the following. Number 1, a quarter, or 104. Now, to find an equivalent fraction to a given fraction, you multiply both the numerator and the denominator by a constant number, by the same number. So now, the first equivalent fraction is when you multiply this 1 by 2 and 4 by 2. So we go 1 times 4 out of 4 times 2. I said 1 times 2 out of 4 times 2. Where 1 times 2 or 1 times 2 you get 2, and 4 times 2 you get 8. So the first equivalent fraction to a quarter will be 2 out of 8. Why? We multiplied both the numerator and denominator by this constant number or the same number 2. 1 times 2 and 4 times 2. You get 2 out of 8. That's the first one. The second, we shall multiply the same fraction by 3 up and down. So we say 1 times 3 and 4 times 3. Where 1 times 3 you get a 3 and 4 times 3 you get 12. So that's the second equivalent fraction to a quarter. That is 3 out of 12. Then the third, we shall multiply by 4 up and down. That is for the numerator 1 and the denominator 4. So 1 times 4 and 4 times 4. So where 1 times 4 you get 4, and then 4 times 4 you get 16. This is the third. So now that you are being asked to write the next 3, they are here. That is 2 out of 8, then 3 out of 12, and 4 out of 16. So that is 2 out of 8, 3 out of 12, and 4 out of 16. But they are only created when you multiply the upper number, that's the numerator, by the same number as the denominator. Here times 2 times 2, here times 3 times 3, here times 4 times 4, and get those equivalent fractions to that particular number. So let them be done. Why are they said to be equivalent? It's because when divided or reduced by the same number, you get the same number. For example, when you have got this 3 out of 12, when you divide them by the same number 3, by the same number 3 up and down, 3 divided by 3 you get 1, and 12 divided by 3 you get 4. They are equivalent to a quarter when divided by the same number. So these are equivalent fractions to a quarter. That is 2 eighths, or 2 out of 8, 3 out of 12, and 4 out of 16. Technically read as 2 eighths, and then 3 twelfths, 4 sixteenths. So those are all equivalent to a quarter when reduced. To reduce is divided by the same number. That is for the numerator and the denominator, like I done here. You get back that a quarter. So all those fractions make a quarter when reduced to their lowest terms. As we go along, we can reduce through cancellation, but as well as division directly. Whatever you cancel, you must actually dividing. Then we go a third. Find the next 3 equivalent fractions for a third. So we do like we did to a quarter. We multiply by 2 by 2. So a third, that is 1 times 2 and 3 times 2. Where 1 times 2 is 2 out of 6, is 2, and 3 times 2 you get a 6. You get a 6, and then the 4, the first equivalent fraction to a third is 2 out of 6. Then you still write our third, multiply by 3 by 3. 1 times 3 is a 3, 3 times 3 is 9. So the next, or the second, equivalent fraction to a third is 3 out of 9. Then the third, you multiply by 4. 1 times 4 and 3 times 4. 1 times 4 is a 4, and then 3 times 4 is a 12. So the next equivalent fraction to a third is 4 out of 12. So there are 3. That's 2 out of 6. 3 are 3 out of 9, and then 4 out of 12. They are the ones listed here, and they are the 3 equivalent fractions to that are third. 2 out of 6, 3 out of 9, and 4 out of 12. And that's all. Then find the 3 or the next 3 equivalent fractions for 5th or 1 out of 5. You multiply by 2 by 2. 1 times 2 and 5 times 2. You get 1 times 2 as 2, 5 times 2 as 10. The first one is 2 out of 10. Then you go a 5th. You multiply by 3 by 3. 1 times 3 and 5 times 3. 1 times 3 is 3. 5 times 3, you get that 15. So you get 3 out of 15. Then the third, you multiply by 4, up and down. 1 times 4 is 4. 5 times 4, you get that 20. So 4 out of 20 is the third equivalent fraction. So they are 2 out of 10, 3 out of 15, and 4 out of 20. And the ones here, you get a ruler and underline them. 2 out of 10, 3 out of 15, and 4 out of 20. The next 3 equivalent fractions to 5th. And that's how we answer. You can pause a little, that is if you download it, and first answer that activity about finding the next 3 equivalent fractions, and then you will be perfect. As you continue viewing, you have the next subtopic saying finding the missing numbers. Finding the missing numbers. So the missing numbers are related to equivalent fractions here. So now the instructions say find and fill in the missing numbers in the following. So the first example says a half is equivalent or equal to dash out of 6. Dash out of 6. A half is equivalent to dash out of 6. Here the working is very easy. You first look at the 2 filled ones. This time the downer numbers are filled properly, the 2 and 6, that is the denominators. So you ask yourself, what do I multiply by? Or what do I multiply by 2 to get a 6? What do I multiply 2 by to get a 6? 2 times what to get a 6? 2 times 3. Meaning I'm going to multiply up and down by 3 like we've done for tracing for equivalent fractions. So 2 times 3 is a 6. Meaning even 1 must be multiplied by 3 to get this gap. So I will say 2 times 3 is a 6, and now 1 times 3 is a 3. Then I'll be able to fill in a 3 up here, and the other 4. I will know 3 out of 6 is equivalent to a half, or is equal to a half. So that's how we get that 3 on top. What do I multiply by, or what do I multiply 2 by to get 6? I multiply by 3. So I maintain the same number up and down, multiply by 3 by 3. You get the missing number here, which is the 3, and then put it up there. So then you go to example number 2. Fill in the missing number. That's 2 out of 3 is equal to 8 out of the number hidden here, out of the number hidden here. Now, what should I do? I look at the filled numbers. This time the upper numbers called numerators. Here, the denominators have been given. Here, the numerators. So, what do I multiply? What do I multiply 2 by? To get 8. 2 times what? To get 8. That's 2 times 4. So the tables are to work. So if 2 times 4 is equal to 8, then you will multiply 3 by the same 4. That's why I've got 2 times 4 is an 8, and then 3 times the same 4 is a 12. So the missing number is a 12. I'll then write it here as 1 and 2. 12, and that's all. So it's about knowledge of tables. What do I multiply 2 by? To get 8, I'll multiply by 4. So 2 times 4 is 8. Then 3 times the same 4, you'll get that 12 to be filled down here. And don't forget a fully filled fraction as 8 out of 12 which is equivalent to 2/3. That is application of equivalent fraction knowledge we have just acquired here in the previous examples. So then we go to number 3. Filling the missing number. 2 out of 4, or 2/4 is equal to dash out of 12. So 4 times what to get 12? Then I'll multiply by the same number to get the gap. So that's 4 times 3. So 4 times 3 is a 12. Then also 2 times 3, you get a 6. To be filled here, you will be able to get the equivalent fraction to 2 out of 4. To 2 out of 4. So you will write 6 here, and in so doing, you will have filled the gap. So you can pause a little if you download it and first answer that work about the filling in to get the next number, and you'll be perfect here. These are equivalent fractions, and which equivalent fractions are got by multiplying both the numerator and denominator by a common number, and that's all. Then we look at reducing fractions. Reducing fractions. Write the following in their lowest terms. In reducing fractions, like I've said before, you divide by a common number. You divide by a common number. So I think to our level, we are going to divide directly and get the answers. So we look at 5 out of 9. 5 out of 10. Reduce 5 out of 10. So we reduce by dividing by a common number. The question is, which number divides both 5 and 10? If you know tables, you will find out the 5. So we divide both sides by 5. That is divide by 5 and divide by 5. Remember, in equivalent fractions, we multiply by the same number. In reducing, we divide by the same number. Where 5 divided by 5 is a 1, and 10 divided by 5 is a 2. So 5 out of 10 reduced to its lowest terms is a half, or 1 out of 2. Never say a tooth is read as a half. That's 1 out of 2 read as a half. So how do we get it? By dividing 5 and 10 by the common divisor. The common number divides the 2 is called a common divisor. So 5 and 10 can commonly be divided by 5, where 5 divided by 5 is a 1, and then 10 divided by 5 you get a 2. You get a half. That is when 5 out of 10 is reduced. That is the way we answer that one. As we proceed, in P5 up to P7 or anywhere you feel like go, we use that cancellation. I used cancellation, and here we use the division directly. So I've got our 3 out of 24. You will be asked, which number commonly divides both 3 and 24? If you know tables, you will note the 3. So we are going to divide both the numerators and the denominators by 3. That is 3 and 24 by 3. So we divide by 3 and then divide by 3. Where 3 divided by 3 get 1, and 24 divided by 3 get 8. So when we do 3 out of 24 these lowest terms, you get an 8th, or 1 out of 8, and that's all. That's how we reduce fractions. We divide them by a common number. So now reduce 6 out of 20, which is our last example, to its lowest term. So we go 6 out of 20, and then look out for the common divisor. Which number divides both 6 and 20 without leaving a remainder? Of course, there are many. That is 6 can work. That is 2 can work. There are not even many. We divide by 2. We divide by 2. So it's only 2. That's a common divisor between those two. If you know the tables, 6 is the multiple of 2, and 20 as well. So we divide by 2 and by 2. There are not many, so it's only 2 that divides both. So where 6 divided by 2 you get 3, and 20 divided by 2 you also get a 10. So when 6 out of 10 is reduced in its lowest terms, that's by 2, we get 3 out of 10 and nothing else. That is how we reduce given fractions. So you saw first at just cancelled, so division, where you just cancel, say 3 by 3, 1, 24 by 3, you get 8. 6 divided by 2, you get a 3, and 20 divided by 2, you get 10. So 1 just cancels, but here to our level, that's P4, we show what we are dividing by directly, but should be a common number. Here, they are commonly divisible by 2. Here, they are commonly divisible by 3, and here, commonly, we divide by 5. So that's how we reduce a fraction, and getting the equivalent fractions, we multiply by the common number, like we've done before. So that's how we work out this work, that is all the way from page 6 to 11 of the same workbook. I am teacher Katimba, has taught you this work, and the work before that was term 1, but this is term 2. Ensure you come to school and get yourself a copy for you to practice, because practice makes one perfect. So I said I'm Teacher Katimbo Richard. For more information about the same, call Teacher Katimbo on 07572333066. Otherwise, this is the end of this lesson. Stay safe.